Morale-wise, and just how have you seen him grow over the past 2 years?
Man, he just gave us his all each and every game. No, that's just one guy that motivates me to go out there and just go from playing 100% to playing 100%, 110%. Just how he plays and that dog he has, that fight in him, and I look forward to seeing him at the next level.
Yes, Adria, being a Louisiana kid, playing LSU in your final home game, does that add a little bit extra to your senior night?
I wouldn't say add anything extra, but it does give me an opportunity to play against my somebody I grew up with, longtime brother, just beyond basketball, Skylar Mays. It's that'd be fun just to go playing against my brother. You know what I'm saying? Compete, and yeah.
Jimmy, what was it specifically that you decided to finish up, get your last year in here?
It's a combination of a lot of things, but I feel like the biggest thing is just to end where you start is unique. For me to leave and have the opportunity to come back, that's unique for me. It's cool that I get to end my story where I started it once again. So,
Well, welcome in, welcome in. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, coming to you here on KDSJ 479 from 1 to 2 p.m. And first, we got to give a shout out to our sponsors before we get this thing started. That being said, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion is located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville, and Corey Beck's Custom Painting. And lastly, I'm telling you, I'm addicted to this spot. I'm probably going to go back again today, and you should join me there. Maybe we can sit down and have a bite to eat. KDK's Chicken. That's located at 989 Razorback Road. Get on down there and see Keith and Kathy. And I've always said, go get a plate of that love. Demetrius, tell the people down there about KDK's. Why is it a must experience?
I would say I'm not as I don't know if I'm worthy enough to speak on their food. You eat it a little bit more than I do, but
I told you yesterday I may have to go to KDK's
I
rehab.
don't understand how religiously he eats there. Like he faithfully goes at least 3 to 4 times a week. But no, it's great food. They got a little bit of everything: southern, boudin balls, peach cobbler, macaroni and cheese.
What's your favorite?
I really don't have a favorite. I kind of just like to, I go at least twice a week. So
Man,
I just
you eat
kind
them
of,
tenders.
I pick something different every time I go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But on to the show. We let you hear audio. For those that missed yesterday's audio played by Jimmy Witt Jr. and Adriel Bailey, we thought we'd share a little bit of that with our listeners today. And, tonight being senior day, Demetrius, you've been a senior. Let's face it, we've all been seniors at some type of level, some at the D1. But when you think about your senior night, let's have a little fun real quick. What went through your mind on senior day?
It didn't hit me because as a senior, I always thought I was gonna get a chance to really play on that next level. So it really didn't sit on me. It didn't dawn into me till a year into college, and I'm like, man, that was my senior day. That was my last game. I never would have thought that would be my last game. So that was kind of what my senior night was like. I celebrated. I thought it was special because I felt like I made a big impact on where I attended school at. So.
And it goes by so fast.
It goes by. A lot of people think 4 years is a long time, but when if you're really pursuing your goal or your dream, 4 years isn't a lot of time if you're really putting that work in and really, immerse yourself in your craft.
Arkansas plays LSU tonight for senior night. Tip off 6 p.m. You can catch that ball game on the SEC network. A very, very important must-win game for Arkansas. And I think from here on out, if they're going to make the NCAA tournament, they've got to make every game, the last two versus A&M and LSU, and then you got to go into the tournament and play like you're, like kind of. It reminds me of that year with Kimball Walker and UConn, how they had to win the SEC tournament, had to get on a run, and the run that they got on, when it stopped, they were a national champion. I'm not saying Arkansas is going to be a national champion, but Arkansas has to play each and every game from here on like they're trying to make the NCAA tournament. And I think you got to treat the SEC tournament as such. You have 7 opportunities, and I think Arkansas is going to have to win at least 4, possibly 5, but for sure 4 games to make the NCAA tournament this year, without question, Demetrius. I think it's something they're going to have to do. But let's get on out there for our viewers and listeners. Our question of the day, 2 of them. Demetrius had a real good one. I'm going to let Demetrius throw his out there, and then I'll throw the other QOD.
So the question of the day is, who is the potential, or who are the potential captains for next year's football team for Sam Pittman? So if you can, please drop a comment below and let us know who you guys think the captains will be. And also, if you're out there, if you have YouTube, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's On the Hill Sports Talk LLC, and also go follow our other YouTube page, Sauced Up Entertainment. You can find videos, interviews. You'll find beats, a lot of entertainment stuff from what we're doing inside the studio. But again, the question is, who are your potential candidates for this year's captains of the football team?
I had a few, and I thought one of the guys, and I'm just going to be honest because I think this kid may be young but talented enough to handle having something like that bestowed on him, was Traylon Burks. I think Traylon is a guy that's going to have a big year, Demetrius. I think playing in the Kendall Browse offense, now having another year with wide receiver coach Justin Stepp, I still, to this day, Demetrius, to this day, cannot fathom how this young man didn't have a touchdown. I'm baffled by that, my man.
Yeah, I don't think it was due to his play. I just think it was just unorganization and a true identity within the scheme of the offense that we were running last year. But I think he's poised to have a great year. I think anytime you get an offensive coordinator like Kendall Browse, a guy that's always known for his high octane offense and putting up a lot of points, you're bound to put up a phenomenal season. I still think Traylon Burks has a chance to put his name in the record books amongst Razorbacks, greats at the wide receiver position.
I mean, when you watch this kid on film, and we've had a chance to watch him throughout the season, ground level. I mean, his physical makeup is already of the SEC caliber. This is a guy that has both strength and speed, and I think Arkansas and Coach Browse are going to find a lot of different ways to get Traylon the ball. I mean, there were several times last year, we could see it from the press box. 5'10" on a 6'4" and no checkoffs. I think that's going to be something that if that happens, it's going to be an instant. Felipe Franks or KJ Jefferson, or it could be Malik Hornsby. Those guys will find that matchup and then expose it. And I think that's going to be one of the real big things why fans should be so excited about having Kendall Browse, is that he's done it at a high level. And he's done it with some of the elite players. We all know the years when Baylor was playing at its highest level of offensive football. Kendall Browse was its offensive coordinator. And you could see the type of players, Demetrius, that he was able to bring in. You made a very good point. Arkansas just here this past Monday had Caden Salter, big-time quarterback, 4-star quarterback out of Cedar Hill, Texas. and is widely thought of as the number one quarterback in the state of Texas. That's real big. You made a comment. I want you to tell the listeners, I mean, what it was that we talked about coming into the studio today.
Yeah, I just think again that Sam Pittman effect, not only with the offensive lineman, knowing you potentially going to have one of the top offensive lines in the nation, but just knowing that you have one of the top offensive coordinators, that's alone is going to bring in top recruiting quarterbacks. So I think from now on, long as Sam Pittman and Kendall Briers are together, I think you're going to expect the top 10 quarterback prospect in the nation to come to Arkansas every year.
One of the questions also of the day, and I think this is a real good one, Demetrius. Check this out. I did a lot of thinking. The transfer portal. And I think, should you also be allowed to, if you so choose to transfer to another university, should you be allowed immediately, just as a grad transfer, in your opinion, do you think that player should have immediate eligibility and be able to play at that institution? I think they should. I think NCAA has too many instances where they're picking and choosing.
I don't know, because it's like it gets a little muddy because
because I can't see how Gabe Osabuoham can leave Arkansas, go to West Virginia, and be granted with playing, but Connor Vanover can't come from California to Arkansas and not get granted, or JD Note. Those guys are having to sit out. I just think, coaches move around. I mean, like sometimes, say a freshman kid could have signed with a coach. The coach gets fired before the kid comes. I think that's a situation where you ought to be able to transfer and be granted immediate eligibility to play whatever sport you transfer there to play.
it depends. I think that's a difficult. I don't think it's straightforward as a yes or a no, because there's so many different situations, because you don't want to get where guys are coming to the SEC and then transferring SEC school to SEC school, and then now you got guys linking up just because, almost like a super team in the NBA where your guys are like, hey, I know you like LSU and you go to Florida, but hey, let's all decide to go to Alabama now, so I think there's a lot to that. So, I think they there should be a area where certain players are allowed, but I think they need to clearly identify what those needed requirements are, instead of leaving it in this gray area as far as going to appeal and go to court on every individual basis. I think they need to have a certain requirement for you to immediately transfer versus saying, hey, we're going to take it case by case. But I think they do.
We got a question, the question of the day that you posed earlier, Demetrius, and Ty, who always comes with great questions, says Rakeem Boyd should be anointed one of the captains because, he gave up a lot to come back for his senior year. I think that's a very viable candidate to be bestowed the C on his uniform for this upcoming year. I would not be shocked, but I know, don't you think, what's the over-under? He's one of the guys representing the Razorbacks in Atlanta.
I think 5 out of 5. That was going to be my pick as far as, when you return that question, who did I think? And I think the safe pick is to say Rakeem Boyd. I think when you look at the brand of Arkansas, and just for his ability to speak on the trenches, and I think that's going to be, especially Sam Pittman, one of his specialties, to go sell Arkansas for offensive line. I think it's great that he has a running back speak on behalf of the university. I think it's going to be great because I think if Rakeem can have the type of season, he's had 1,000-yard seasons with mediocre lines. I'm sorry, I don't mean that in any disrespect to any of the lines or previous linemen that were here at Arkansas, because I don't think they individually were mediocre. I just think the cohesiveness and the ability to play amongst as a unit was not there, and for him to do what he did with that subpar line. And what I think he can do under Sam Pittman, even though it's going to be year one with a lot of these guys, I think it's going to be tremendous, and it's going to be a great selling pitch when Rakeem goes to the NFL.
Well, we're going to be back. For those that didn't catch, Coach Eric Musselman, head basketball coach here for the University of Arkansas, his preview of tonight's LSU ball game and senior night on Nolan Richardson Court at Bud Walton Arena. Here's what Eric had to say, and then we'll come back with much, much more. Our questions of the day. Who's your team captain candidates, and what do you think about the transfer portal? Should they be allowed to play right when they make the choice on the school they want to attend? All that's coming up. Let's interact. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
They both had, good, solid senior career, senior seasons. Jimmy's done a great job, obviously, from a defensive standpoint for us all year, and has kind of picked his spots from an offensive standpoint, depending on the matchups in the game.
Warford was a big factor last time. What do you all try and do differently on him?
Waterford?
Waterford, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we can grow and get stronger between now and Wednesday. He's prototypical player who's a 3-4 hybrid who creates mismatches because he can put the ball on the deck, he can post up. He's a great rebounder. He's really physical. He's tough. He's a great freshman for sure, and a very difficult matchup for us.
Yeah, just parlaying off of that, their skill level as a whole, just could you talk about how difficult they are, why they've been such a good team this year?
Well, they have two senior guards that are really experienced, in Javante Smart and Skylar Mays. They have a great freshman in Waterford who's a really difficult matchup. Days is a difficult matchup because he can knock down threes, and he killed us on the glass. He might have had more rebounds than our whole team. And then Williams is a fantastic player with his second jump and his reaction to loose balls. I mean, this is, in my opinion, it's one of the most talented teams in the entire country.
Yeah, you said Saturday about your big man being in foul trouble is just another verse of that. I know it's been frustrating, but Adriel in particular has fouled out, I think, 3 games in a row. I mean, what you got to do?
Well, I mean, I think as a coach, what you can do is you can send players.
Welcome back to On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, brought to you here at KDSJ 479, Monday through Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. And our questions of the day was Demetrius, our producer, gave out the first QOD, and it was, name your candidates for the captain this season. I think there's 4 captains that they vote for each and every year. Who are your 4 captains, in your opinion, that you think will be named? I know Rakeem Boyd's probably going to be the overwhelming pick, Demetrius, by far and away. But outside of Rakeem, I mean, say, Demetrius, that we just put Rakeem in there for a captain. Just lock that one in, and then we narrow it down. Give me 3 that you would go with.
I'm going to give you one more.
Go ahead.
I can come back to it later on the
ahead.
show because I'm still kind of trying to do some thorough research with my pick. I'm trying to really dive in, but I have to go. I think Sam Pittman gets a hog off the offensive line. And,
I saw on social media.
I'm gonna go Ricky Stromboy.
And speaking of that, you said that.
I know.
Ricky tweeted out.
I'm gonna go.
I believe it was 2 days ago. Ricky's 300 pounds.
I'm gonna go with Ricky Stromberg. I think he likes the way he works. I think he sees Stromberg is one of those guys that's really going to be an anchor on the offensive line. I think he picks him to lead those hogs, those trench hogs.
I mean, yeah, because you got to think this was a kid that played as a true freshman in the SEC on the offensive line, which is not something that's easily done. Played at 270. I mean, when you go up 30 pounds, and then you throw in the fact that you're going to have 2 of the nation's elite college football offensive line coaches in Brad Davis, Coach Pittman, who was coached by Coach Pittman. So when you have that combination that you're going to be able to learn from, and what I think the new strength and conditioning program, Ricky Stromberg is 300 pounds, Demetrius. I think the offensive line is going to be one of the more improved offensive lines in the SEC, and I think also in the country. Now, how much improved that will be remains to be seen, but I think you are going to see a very marked improvement. And really from the get-go, the physicality and just the way they play technique-wise. I think that's going to be something that's going to jump out as the season progresses on. Now they're going to have, it's a lot. It's real murky there at the beginning. I mean, a lot of tough games, but really excited to see spring ball begins a week from this Monday, March 16th. Coach Sam Pittman and his Razorback staff and players will take the field for their very first time under the Sam Pittman era. But want to also make a mention, Arkansas's senior guard, Alexis Tollfree, and junior guard Chelsea Dungy were named first team and second team All-SEC. Alexis Tollfree was named first team All-SEC. I want to say a big congratulations to AT, and also Chelsea Dungy named second team, but I think it's really big for Tollfree. I mean, the story that this young lady and the path that she's had to take, quite the story, Demetrius, and to be able to be an Arkansas kid, born and raised, went to Conway High School, won a state Arkansas championship, played in a few Arkansas high school state championships, had to go the JUCO route by way of Holmes Junior College, was going to go to Ole Miss, and then ended up coming to a school that she'd always wanted to play at. Demetrius, to finish your senior year as a first team all conference player, because it was a year of growth for Alexis. I mean, let's just be honest and up front. But it just goes to show also with Chelsea Dungy making it. Coach Mike Neighbors and that staff, Pauline Love, Coach Osahor, and Todd Schaefer, Amber Shiree. I mean, that entire program on the women's side trending almost daily. Amber Ramirez, they'd come up with a well-known tag as the Splash Sisters. I mean, talk about, that big thing, having Alexis being from Arkansas, be a first team All-SEC. How, it's got to be big when you talk to the Arkansas high school girls about continuing their basketball careers at this institution.
Definitely, I think it's another tool, that Mike Neighbors can use on his utility belt to go sell the program to, like you said, Arkansas girls. Although he didn't get
Sasha, go for it.
Sasha, yeah, you know exactly who I was trying to get at. But I think the only reason he didn't get her was because he came in on the back end of that relationship. She already had that relationship going. So I think now that women see you can do the same thing that you could do at a Tennessee or Memphis or at any other prestigious women's basketball institute, you can now do it at Arkansas. I think now the next thing to do is and they've kind of checked that off, was to get back in the tournament. Now it's just kind of to contend and see how far they can go and build upon that. So Mike Neighbors and Chelsea, I think they've done something great together.
Right.
I think he's definitely improved her game.
She got another year.
And,
that's the crazy part about it.
It's beautiful to see what really they're creating together.
This team definitely has a lot to play for this season, both in the SEC and the NCAA tournament. But when you look at the future going forward, what they have coming back and what they have coming in, and just the future that potential recruits that could make their way to the University of Arkansas, future's very, very bright. Want to make a note also, too. Mike Neighbors and the Arkansas Lady Razorbacks will take on the Auburn Tigers in the first round of their SEC tournament. That tip-off will be tomorrow at 1 p.m. on the SEC Network. You can catch that ball game in its entirety. But the Arkansas Lady Razorbacks will be taking on in the first round of their 2020 SEC tournament action the Auburn Tigers. Arkansas, was victorious earlier in the year over the Auburn Tigers. So 1 p.m., if you're not doing anything, check this team out. I'm talking about, you want to watch fun basketball. If you hadn't seen these ladies, you're missing something. Check them out at 1 p.m. versus the Auburn Tigers. But we're going to step away, take us a real quick break, our last break, and then we're going to come back. We'll play a little bit more of the Eric Musselman, and then we'll try to wrap this thing in a bow. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Back in a bit.
in particular has fouled out, I think, 3 games in a row. I mean, what you got to do?
Well, I mean, I think as a coach, what you can do is you can send players tapes, video clips. You can sit down with them individually. Your assistants can sit down with them individually. You can show them statistics on paper. So I think if you show them stats on paper, where you rank nationally, where you rank fouls per minute in the league, here's where you're getting your fouls. You hope that it somewhat becomes correctable. Our message has not gotten through, I guess, because we continue to foul at an incredibly high rate between Adrio, Reggie, and Ethan on a nightly basis. So all we can do is continue to try to show them and teach them. You got to do your work early as a defender. You can't react to the offensive player. You've got to have your knees bent. So that, we're going to keep coaching, keep talking about it, keep pointing out strengths in each player's game, and keep pointing out points of emphasis to get better. All the way until the very last buzzer of the last game. Anybody want this thing on the opener?
Welcome back. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins, Sports Talk Radio. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins here on KDSJ 479. I want to make a quick note for those that haven't caught on. Arkansas host in senior night at Bud Walton Arena on Lola Richardson Court at 6 p.m. The LSU Tigers in their home conference season finale will be the last time for Razorback fans to see these seniors, Adriel Bailey, Jimmy Witt, Gentile Sala, those 3 young men in that arena. So go out if you can, support those Razorbacks as they take on LSU. Once again, tip-off 6 p.m. You can catch the game on the SEC Network. If you can't make the ball game, I know there's a lot of state tournaments going on. The 5A state tournament, Demetrius and Russellville. 4A starts today out in Farmington. I know those people out there in Farmington have a great community, and they're going to put on a first-class 4A state tournament. We will be, Demetrius, traveling to Bryant. The On the Hill Fayetteville High broadcast team will be calling this Friday night's state playoff quarterfinal games for the Lady Purple Dogs and the Fayetteville Bulldogs. First game, women will be on Red Dirt 106.1. Tip-off 7 p.m. For the Fayetteville Lady Purple Dogs. Following at 8:45, we'll also be on the call for the Fayetteville Purple Dogs as they play their initial state playoff game down. Make a note also, if Fayetteville wins both of those games, we'll also be on Saturday at 6 p.m. as the Bulldogs, the Lady Dogs, will be in the state semifinals to be determined their opponent. And then at 7:45, if the Purple Dogs win their Friday night game, they'll follow the girls at 7:45 against their to be determined opponent as well. And you can catch all that on FM Red Dirt 106.1 this weekend as the Fayetteville Bulldogs, boys and girls, Purple Dogs, will be making their way to Bryant High School in the 6A state tournament. Demetrius, man, this is the very first of many, hopefully, state tournaments that you've had the production. I mean, got any thoughts about that right now? Or just hadn't happened yet? Won't get it until it's game time.
I'm just gonna be chilling. I need to give me some popcorn.
Some popcorn.
Should I give me some popcorn? I have some little munchies on the side.
Why popcorn? What's up with the popcorn?
No, I might try to stream it though, since I never really seen the team play. You know, it's different from hearing the team play and watching the team play. So I'm gonna try to find that link in to tune in. You know,
Right.
just listen to the
I
broadcast.
think you can get that on the Mascot Media Fayetteville Bulldog app. I think is where they're going to also stream.
Okay,
the
so
ball
I'll just
game.
be watching it on the app and tuning in to us.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Well, stream the app, but tune into the radio broadcast. I'm pretty sure they'd really enjoy it. I got some crazy saying I've been told by some of our listeners that check us out on Friday nights. But just want to make a note.
Hey, Steven said, did you play basketball at Woodland?
I played basketball at Woodland I did, yeah. I had a year where I was at Woodland, and then I went over to the other side to that good school. What else? What else you got to say? Steve always got some good questions.
That was it. He said playing Auburn tomorrow.
Yeah, he was going to share that information. I mean, he's a great listener. I think he's all the way out in Colorado. So we really appreciate Steve for tuning in with us. I mean, that's a long way away, Demetrius. And if memory serves me, aren't we an hour ahead of Colorado, or are we 2 hours ahead? How?
Oh man, I'm not sure.
I think they're Mountain Time, so I think we're an hour ahead. So I mean, he's at noon, probably on his lunchtime, tuning in to us. So thanks a lot for tuning in. The question of the day, Demetrius, throw that first one out as we're attempting to wrap up.
Who are
today's
you
show.
all's candidates for team captain? So for my third and final team captain, I'm gonna go Levi Draper. I think the leadership on defense, just as that kind of that senior. I'm not sure what's the situation with what's the guy that had the chest injury last year, Dorian.
Right.
I don't know what's the situation with Dorian. Dorian would have been one of my potential captains.
Good point.
But I think if he doesn't just be that senior leader, I think Levi Draper is going to be one of the co-captains that Sam Pittman decides to make captain of the Razorbacks.
You like old Levi Draper?
I just think he's going to be huge. I just think you have to have a linebacker. That's kind of like the linebacker is always the quarterback of your defense, and he's kind of that guy that when something's going on wrong on defense, you have to have that leader, and it's usually the captain. So, I've always known a defensive player to be the captain, and usually that linebacker, safety, or just that impact player on defense. And I can see Levi being a combination of all three of those.
Another thing that, when you look at this first Sam Pittman team is, the position and I mentioned offensive line, but you have to figure that this wide receiver core that Coach Stepp has been able to put together over the last 2 years. First, it was Mike Woods, and then you get guys like Traylon Burks and Trey Knox. When you look at this wide receiver core with Corlin Jackson, Tyson Morris, you're going to add Darian Turner. Big bodies equals big playability, and not only are these guys big bodies, but these guys possess a very high level of top-end speed.
Yeah, it can be dangerous, I think, like I said at the beginning of the show, I think it kind of everything is determined off the offensive line. If the offensive line can gel together, I think just the offense is going to be something special that we probably haven't seen since Jarius and Joe and Dennis Johnson and Niall Davis.
Right.
I think it's going to be a lot.
Who's the best receiver you've seen since you've been
pure
following
receiver?
Arkansas football? Yeah. As we're about to wrap up today's show.
Probably Jarius, right?
Jarius?
Jarius was very underrated because he was just so short and he wasn't flashy. Everybody wanted to say Joe. And Joe was he was a playmaker, but Jarius was elite. Like, he's elite. That's why he's still in the NFL to this day.
Now, you know who I think it is?
Who is
Because,
it?
it comes from the same town as Traylon. I think Greg Childs. Had he not had the knee injury, I think Greg could have been a long-time pro. Big, 6'3". I think Greg came in about 210, 215. I mean, he was really that first big receiver. And then there was Kobe Hamilton. But I think in the last 10 or so years, in my opinion, it would have to be.
And see, I never really got
Greg
to see
Childs.
Greg play I believe the year I came, he got hurt,
Right.
or he was rehabbing because I remember he got drafted. So I came in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he was around that time that he was rehabbing and getting ready to go. So I didn't really get to see him play. So I got to see Jarius. Like I saw Jarius win us games. Like he's to this day he's the only real reason we beat A&M. When you look at I know.
I have to admit that he was a step above everybody.
He's the reason we beat A&M, and we haven't beat A&M since they left. So
been a long time. 2011. That's 8 years, going on 9 years that they hadn't beat the Aggies.
Yep. That's
Wow.
crazy. I didn't even think. I didn't even notice it was that long. That's a long time, bro.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
That's 2 generations.
That's
So
wow.
okay. So if Pittman wins that game this year, what does that do for the program?
I think they got to continue on because you really can't catch your breath because, I mean, within 2 weeks, then you have to turn around and play Alabama and LSU. So I think, and you'll be coming off having played prior to that Notre Dame and Mississippi State. So I really think it's just going to be just another game. I mean, this is a season, in my opinion, and I think not only just this season, Demetrius, but next season, it's about proving a point and getting respect back.
I agree.
Not only SEC, but I think you get respect back on the national level. And I think that's what Coach Pittman and this staff, from Coach Pittman all the way down to the recruiting office, I think that they're going to go into this season and next year trying to prove a point and being very aggressive on the recruiting trail and being very aggressive when they get on the football field with Coach Odom and Coach Browse' schemes. But that's the way I see this program. I see a sleeping giant, in my opinion. If they can keep this staff together, that's always going to be the key. Is keeping your coaching staff together, because when we did the sit down, Demetrius, I felt real comfortable around this staff, and I could sense their vision for where they really can take this program. All the way down. And what really stood out was their vision that they have for Coach Pittman to have success.
Absolutely. They're the ones that's really going to keep Pittman's job easy and let him be the recruiter.
Right. I mean, you said it best. You said it best, but we're going to wrap today's show up. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also in Rogers. We also want to give a shout out to Locomotion. It's located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. And lastly, we want to give a shout out to, not lastly, but also Corey Beck's Custom Painting. If you need to look good, he did our place, and I'm very, very excited each and every day I come in here. It just makes me feel real good. So contact Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and you won't be disappointed. I'm sure you will not be disappointed. And, Demetrius said it, and I kind of think I may have to make a phone call and admit it to myself. I'm going to have to get some rehab because you need to get on down there. Meet me. KDK's Chicken at 989 Razorback Road. Go down and get a plate of that love. See Keith and Kathy. I mean, they got all. Once again, Demetrius, what are some of the things they got on the menu that you like to hear? Would say, man. Yeah, he won't even say it. I guess he wants you to go down there and check it out. So you should. For Demetrius and myself, to you all, once again, we'll be at the Arkansas LSU game from Bud Walton Arena on Nolan Richardson Court. Tip off 6 p.m. Follow On the Hill Sports Talk on all social media outlets, as we'll have post-game interviews from the players and the coaches following tonight's SEC matchup and senior night at on the Fayetteville campus. That's going to do it for myself. Once again, for Demetrius. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys